experience from one of the most affected constituencies. And when Mr. Mitzi is back, maybe he can just alert us to being back, and we will return to you next. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. We gather here, haunted by death in Gaza, and wonder, is it only them, or are we more dead in our humanity and integrity? 10 years ago, after a long struggle, we celebrated the CFS Framework for Action, endorsed by all countries, delegitimizing the weaponization of food in the context of protracted crisis. The same countries now not only stand silent in the face of genocide, ecocide, starvation, they actively enable it. Should we allow everything we have built to remain a delusion? To the US, is the extermination of over 1,000 Palestinians seeking the crumbs of survival at Gaza Humanitarian Foundation death traps consistent with your ambition to be a peacemaker? To the EU, who and how many must be killed before the reviewing of your trade agreements with Israel? To corporate actors, is genocide worth market competition? To CSOs, isn't it timely to break donors' conditionality? To WFP, why are you unable to get a single tomato seed into Gaza? To FAO, why did not you work on reviving the local food systems since the beginning of the genocide? These are the ABCs of FFA. In fact, to UN and CFS actors, why did you froze the FFA, which advances sovereign food systems grounded in lasting and just peace? The world order, it seems, is not designed currently to address military or settler colonial and occupation. The genocidal and ecocidal tactics seen in their most depraved phase in Gaza are deployed also in the rest of historic Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and in the extractive colonial projects in Congo and Sudan. Food aid is also weaponized, seen in Yemen, Haiti, and many other places. These are profound violations of the right to food. But how can the right to food be realized in the absence of the right to life itself? UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese's recent report reveals the global network of corporate actors and charities bankrolling genocide and settler colonialism in Palestine. Corporations continue to operate in space of impunity. The potential of the UN decade and conventions to ensure justice is handicapped by donor conditions, or rather instructions. Orientalist narratives recycled through media, education, and foreign policy recast colonial domination as a divine right, lending moral legitimacy for states to neglect their extraterritorial obligations to prevent and redress crimes. This is shockingly displayed in how the UN Security Council veto power is used to protect regimes that genocide, starve, and displace. Yet, we are not powerless. Power works through us, how we speak, how we remember, how we resist, and how we act. Nothing should keep those from calling for an immediate end to genocide in Gaza now. Let us reclaim international law as a tool that strikes at the roots of structural injustice. How have we not yet recognized ecocide as an international crime? We can pursue food sovereignty and support farmers even during conflicts. It is possible. My organization, the Arab Group for the Protection of Nature, without any funding, foreign funding, has supported 35,000 farmers in Palestine with agricultural input, planting 3.1 million fruit trees that support 250,000 of people in Palestine. We salute here the organizations and families doing this critical work everywhere. We need to decimate and translate the FFA as a viable framework to revive food systems via roots cause redressal, right-based peace building and development. All actors must also assess and actualize their alignment with the FFA. We urge CFS not to only coordinate policy, but serve as a platform for international accountability. This must extend to demonstrating support for the International Court of Justice. States must cease all trade that sustain genocide and enforce corporate accountability. We salute here the Hague Group, who are taking concrete action to enforce international law against genocide. We should be accurate in the terminology that informs policy. Genocide is not a dispute, and resilience building is not shock absorption, but structural transformation. This is part of a broader project of decolonization, the production of knowledge. Civil society can play an instrumental role in restoring food sovereignty in conflict, occupation, and genocide. Look now to Gaza. Farmers continue to sow seeds in the face of systematic starvation. Our APN's green resistance succeeded in supporting 600 farmers to grow food and supply Gaza's markets with 6 million kilograms of vegetables and food during the genocide. Imagine what could be realized if all actors mobilized in defense of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Razan, for that very provocative intervention. You addressed several organizations in this discussion. If anyone wants to respond, it would be welcome, because we really want this to be a dialogue and we want all voices to be heard.